Welcome to another edition of the 5-Star Zone. My man Evan Jenkins and Evan, we're going to just dive into this. We were actually going to be talking about the NFL draft. We're going to push that to later on this week. Why?
Because the sky is falling, Rico.
Because yesterday, as I was moving, I bought this sweet couch from this guy who's moving. But it was on the east side. I had to go get it. I got a old college roommate of mine and my nephew, and this thing is heavy. We got to carry it down 2 flights of stairs. And then all of a sudden, everybody is just like, what the heck is going on? What's going on? And I'm like, man, something's happening. So let me just put the couch down. It was like, please tell me this ain't true. So Michigan State at that time had 2 guys, had Peyton Thorne, had Keon Coleman going to the portal. And then later on that day, Charles Brantley went into the portal as well.
Which also Sunday was the deadline for players
Sunday
to
was
enter.
the deadline to go into there. So let me start in order. Peyton Thorne, I'm sorry. Spartan fans got their wish. Every Spartan fan just thought that he was the worst quarterback in the world. I didn't think he was that bad, but every Spartan fan wanted an open competition. Let's get Hauser. Let's get Noah Kim in there. Well, guess what? You now have your wish. It's going to be one of those 2 guys. Peyton Thorne just said, you know what? You can't fire me. I quit. I'm leaving. He walked out. Now, it was an open quarterback competition. For my gathering of placing some phone calls, he's going to win the job. But I feel like it was going to be more of a Cade McNamara type of situation. For those who don't know what that situation is, Cade McNamara was he was the reigning Big Ten champion quarterback at Michigan, but everybody wanted JJ. Cade just, got tired of looking over his shoulders. He thought, you know what, I've been here for 2 years. I shouldn't have to compete for this job. But then he ended up losing his job, and now he's on the bench, and he's a captain of the team. I don't think Peyton Thorne wanted to go through that. Plus, the common theme with all 3 guys, they already had people working the back channels and saying, hey, we got a sweet NIL deal for you. And for Peyton Thorne, you ain't got to worry about no pesky Noah Kim. You're the guy. You're going to be our quarterback. So that's why you see his name attached to certain schools. Like Auburn is one school that his name is attached to. So that's that.
See, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, he's going to go join his dad. Obviously not. He's going to shoot higher than Western Michigan.
He's going to shoot a little higher than Western Michigan. Now, I think the dad is the fail-safe.
Right.
If things don't work out, and because I guess Auburn's looking at him, and they're looking at Casey Thompson, the
Nebraska quarterback.
The transfer from Nebraska. They're looking at those 2 guys to bring one of them in. So that was Peyton Thorne. And so he leaves, and now that opens up the door. Keon Coleman.
Well, before we get to Keon, so the big thing that Michigan State fans are saying and fans of other schools are saying, without this quarterback, what are they going to do? Are you secure as a Michigan State fan and just seeing the program inside out and outside looking in?
Yeah.
Are these guys capable of doing it? Noah Kim and
yeah,
Cade
I mean, I said it before. I'm trying to think. I think we did something after the MSU spring game. If we didn't,
you did. You talked about it. You were there. I didn't get a chance to see it. But even
at the end of that game, I thought that Noah Kim played better. Now I figured, you know what, he didn't play head and shoulders better than Thorne, so Thorne was going to get the job in the fall. But I'm watching him when he moved the ball around and thinking to myself, he could probably get this job done. Now, what's the team going to do? Okay. Aside from the one good year, what did they really do under Peyton Thorne?
Well, and that's what I was trying to say this morning. I said, Peyton Thorne's nice and everything, but in the grand scheme of things, without Kenneth Walker and that stuff, that offense doesn't rely on a quarterback making plays. That offense relies on the running back and the offensive line.
It's revisionist history. I mean, everybody's going to now say what a great person he was, and he was. He threw for a lot of touchdowns and stuff, but
hell, had a burger named after him.
To me, it was almost like, the Andrew Maxwell, Tyler O'Connor. You were only going to go so far with this guy. He was going to have great moments, and then he was going to have some not great moments. Great games and not so great games. And you took away his security blanket in Jaden Reed. So we're going to find out what kind of quarterback he really was when number one wasn't out there to bail him out every time.
Well, and say what you want, But I do. People are coming down on Mel Tucker for this and
Oh my
saying that
God!
everything's falling apart.
I'll get into
But
that,
if
but
you
we can do
ask
this now.
me, competition's good, and being cutthroat is even better. And what I mean by that, if your fifth-year quarterback isn't the guy for the job and you're putting pressure on him, that's good for the program, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just say this about Mel Tucker, because that's the whole thing. What's going on with the program? There's something wrong.
I think it's college football in
Guys,
2023.
Guys, 3 people left. If 3 people is your football program, you got bigger problems.
I completely agree.
If 3 people leaving means your program is now over and it's dead and all of that, you should probably go root for another team, because your team has so many problems. This was not a Mel Tucker problem. This was new college sports problems.
That's
where
what I see.
There's 2 types. I think a lot of fans can't come to grips with the fact that there's 2 type of athletes now, Evan. There are a guy who, I commit to this school and I always wanted to be a school, and you know what? I wanted to be a Spartan. I wanted to be a Wolverine. I wanted to be a Badger. It was my lifelong dream. And they're there, and they're going to ride this thing out, and they're going to graduate a Spartan for life, Spartan dog. You now have athletes who look at the coaches and say, this is a business, and how can I maximize my dollar each and every year? Just because I'm happy at this place year 1 doesn't mean I'm going to be there year 2. You see guys who are transferring 2, 3 times now because they're looking for the best deal. And for all 3 of these guys, this was not a Mel Tucker thing. They all were on NIL, because that's the other thing. Just have Ishbia write a check. First of all, it ain't our money. That's his money.
Mhm.
He's got a business to run, and he just bought a team. He's already donated $30 million to a university. His job ain't just to scratch out checks. But let me put it like this. The 3 of those guys, none of them were poor. All of them, nice rides. Probably a better ride than what you're going around with today.
Well, and I was going to say, too, these are also 3 kids, like we had mentioned, just waited till the deadline. I think there are 3 kids that were conflicted on what to do as well, because usually you enter that portal a little sooner than you do the last single day that you can do that. And I just think, listen, you're going to have people in your ear saying, hey, Keon, I can give you a little bit more.
Well, Keon's had people in his ear for years trying to tell him, Keon, you're at the wrong school. You go here, you can maximize your dollar. Keon had a sweet NIL deal. So this wasn't Mel Tucker. This wasn't Michigan State being cheap. This was Keon. I think for Keon, it's a different situation. I think for Keon, you got to look more so towards Jordan Addison. He was the Biletnikoff winner at Pitt, the #1 wide receiver. His quarterback was leaving. And Jordan was like, you know what? I'm going to be in college for 1 more year. I want a shot at the brass ring. He goes to USC. He's catching balls from Caleb Williams and hoping to get to the college football playoffs. Now, he didn't make it. But I think that's the same thing you're going to see from Keon. And ironically enough, some of the schools that are popping up were USC, LSU under Brian Kelly going back home
from
to
Louisiana.
Tennessee, believe it or not, the Joe Mixon and the quarterback Milton. Yeah, Joe Milton, going to go play for him. He's one of the Heisman Trophy kind of guys. So you're seeing schools like that in the mix for him, where he's just looking at this as, you know what, I got one shot at this. I think Miami just has a ton of money to offer out. So yeah, for this was about the money. There's really no other way to put it.
Well,
it's not like, and it's not like it's a bad thing. It's a business. And some kids see this strictly as a business.
Well, and I'm starting to look at college football as becoming a job to these young men.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, if a better opportunity comes around with more money, I'm going to go take it, because guess what? That's what they're worried about now. They're not worried about a 4-year degree. They're not even necessarily worried about getting to the league. Right now, they can make money, and that's what they're looking for. So I don't blame any kid for leaving, but it goes to my whole point of be careful who you're a fan of now. You're rooting for that school. You're not rooting for players anymore, because from year to year, I mean, could you argue that Keon Coleman was the best player on Michigan State's football team individually? Yes.
You could, yeah.
But does that mean that it's the best place for him? No. And so before you want to go take shots at the school and everything in between, the school down the road in Ann Arbor, they lost 4 kids the week before. They lost their starting safety. And all they want to say is, well, we have the depth to do it. And so, you know what?
Dude, yeah,
you hope Michigan State has the depth to do it.
You want to know why? Yeah, but here's the other thing. Michigan won.
Yeah.
I mean, because Michigan lost 2 captains 2 of their captains are now Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I wasn't even talking about them.
No, right. But I'm just saying, but when you win, people don't care. But when you're 5-7 and the last thing people remember about your football program is the tunnel fight against Michigan and getting suspended and all of that stuff, and Mel Tucker coming out saying he's a horseshit coach, all of that stuff just adds up and it adds up and it adds up. And that's how people start to see your program right now. So for Keon, I want a chance to win. And I'm probably going to make a little extra scratch too. But it wasn't about the money. He had everything that he could have had. And you know what? His teammates didn't even know.
Right.
They were hanging out with him the day before. And
just a month and a half ago, he was doing autograph signings around town. So
the day before, they were playing hoops together.
Right.
And he mentioned nothing.
I just don't think that in today's college football world, I mean, heck, look at basketball. Hunter Dickinson, the best player at Michigan, beloved. They gave him everything under the sun, and he still wanted to see if it was greener on the other side, right? And so you can't blame kids. You can't say the coach is losing this, that, and the other thing. Go look at every school in America. Right. They have kids leaving. Bama has kids leaving. Georgia has kids leaving. Those are all good kids. I mean, you see a lot of these kids are like former 5-star leaves, former 4-star leaves. It's just the world we live in. But now, Charles Brantley, I don't know much about his situation, okay? He made the big play against Michigan 2 years ago. He played in, 10 or 11 games last year. Kind of silent, but when you have a bad pass defense, what do you make out of it?
Right. When you look and your pass defense is 109, then, yeah, that's probably why you're looking at probably him leaving too. Now, for him, I don't know. I mean, it could just be when I saw one of the first offers that he tweeted out was Colorado.
I know.
That tells me, you know what? He's a kid from Florida. Deion, I want to go play for Deion Sanders. He's prime time. He's going to get me ready for the league. I don't think Colorado's going to win very many games, but you get to say you've been coached by one of the best corners ever to play football.
Can't deny that.
Deion Sanders. Yep. So college football, it is free agency. Is it anything that Michigan State could have done? No. Maybe win more games.
And that was it. But even then.
But is the program falling apart? Is this all Mel Tucker's fault? No. For anybody saying that this is all Mel Tucker's fault, they wanted to blame him for anything.
Absolutely.
And they're still angry because he makes $9.5 million a year. That's why. And I don't understand why so many Spartan fans are angry about that. It's not your money. And the people who are so angry, I promise you, haven't given a dime to the university. But, Joey in Roseville is just so bent out of shape. But this is unexcusable. Well, they're not firing him, guys.
Well,
they're not.
Whole "what have you done for me lately" type deal. When he wins 11 games, he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to a football field. When he wins 4 games or 5 games, it's get him out of here. And I mean, yet again, just take the prime example of looking down the road. Jim Harbaugh did not achieve his success until year 7.
Yeah.
And it was okay because he was getting them to a
spot.
Yeah,
they were never, but see, his people weren't, they were just starting to turn on him at the beginning of year 7.
But it took that long.
Right.
Is my point.
Where you already got people circling the wagons. They got the pitchforks out there. They got the torches ready to be lit. They're waiting for this thing to fall apart because you paid them too much money. And I granted, Heavy is the head that makes $10 million a year, but this wasn't on him. First of all, Peyton Thorne, every Spartan fan wanted this to happen, and it happened. And now you're bitching and complaining. Keon Coleman and Brantley, especially Brantley, came out the blue. But when you look at it, for Brantley, you're playing in one of the worst secondaries ever.
Yeah.
You are NFL talent, and you're probably going to go someplace where they could really maximize you on the defense. And for Keon, same, he's going to try to maximize that last year. Now, a couple things. And you talked about people leaving. Cody Epps, wide receiver for BYU, he was like the guy for them, okay? I know a lot of people don't follow BYU. He goes into the portal damn near at midnight. And it was shocking because he was out, like you said, Keon's doing autograph. This guy is like the face of the football team, and he walks into the portal. People are losing folks all the time. It's free agency in college now. That's all it is. And you got to get away from thinking, oh, well, this is about the players and the love. They don't have the same love that you have for your team or your university. They're trying to get as many dollars as they can. And the other thing about this, Evan, like it or not, college football is halves, versus the have-nots. Either you're a hunter or you're dinner, but there's no in between. So occasionally it's kind of fun when the rabbit has the gun.
Mhm.
But other than that, either MSU and teams like that just say, you know what, we got to be like everybody else and do things that we probably don't agree with, or you're gonna constantly get your players poached from other places who says, are you really gonna win? Now, like I said, Michigan winning. So you can't really poach them because why do I need to leave? I'm here.
Well, and even when they do leave, it's like, okay, well, we have somebody that can
Right.
back them up. It's not a
But
problem.
when you're 5-7, yeah, right now everything looks bad. I'm gonna simply say this. Circle April 30th, because April 30th will either be the day that the program just fell apart. It was the beginning of the end. It was the John L. Smith, Ohio State, the coaches are screwing things up moment. Or the Bobby Williams, I
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
know if I got control of this team or not. Or it's the Mark D'Antonio little brother press conference, where after getting embarrassed by Michigan and having Michigan mock you, he sat there, said it'll never be over. 7 of the next 8 years, they beat Michigan, and he takes the program to a whole nother level. I think this is that day where you're gonna look at, and April 30th is gonna be a day that either we're saying, because I don't know if you paid attention, but a lot of the players came out afterwards on social media and were just like, "Relax, we're still
I
here.
saw Noah Kim did,
We,
yeah.
we got this." I mean, Aaron Brule, uh, you know, uh, you had a
Well,
lot of
there's 100 dudes out there,
right,
right? And you can't say, well, they're worried about their draft stock because, hey,
right.
Jaden
Gary,
Reed went second round.
yeah,
Hell, Amir Speed got drafted in the 6th round.
that was it. You got Darius Snow saying, "Relax," like,
Yeah, like I'm okay. It's just
because this could be a galvanizing moment where sometimes I don't know what next year is going to bring, because that was the other question. People are, oh, well, what happens? What's going to be their record? Guys, they haven't played a game yet. So
we
I
also
don't
didn't know
know.
that in Mel Tucker's first full year. We didn't know
Right.
what the hell we were getting.
Right.
What was it? 4 wins that Vegas
Yeah.
had him at?
It was over under 4 wins. Yes.
So it's like every year yeah. I mean, look at Oklahoma. People thought that they were going to do great things under Caleb Williams and
It's
all that stuff, and just stuff happens, right?
it happens. And I think this could be a galvanizing moment when you look at the players. It could be addition by subtraction where, yeah, you lost 3 good players, but maybe now some other people get a chance to shine in different sport. But look what happened when Amani Bates left
Memphis.
Memphis, and all of a sudden they went from bottom feeders. They made the tournament. They go on a winning streak. It happens in sports all the time where people leave, and all of a sudden the people. I guarantee you, there had to been an impromptu team player. I mean, player only meeting last night. Even if it just started off with a couple guys eating pizza, but the next thing you know, man, we you know what, we got to do something. So we'll see what happens. It happened. It's the nature of college football. It all happened in one day. So, and then, the other thing too, man, it's just the MSU writers and beat writers, they want so badly not to be like Michigan beat writers that they go the opposite direction, that it's gloom and doom at all times. And it's like life lies somewhere in the middle, people. And this isn't the worst thing that ever happened. You know,
And
pump the
it's
brakes.
not the best
It
either,
ain't the
but
no, and that's what I'm saying. It ain't the best, but it was just like,
to write a story one way or the other, we're just spitballing because we don't know
right,
anything, right? And
right.
so it's just two people talking. But to write and put it in a print that the sky is falling and blah 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 blah, you don't know. You just don't
Last
know.
time I checked, you don't win any trophies on May 1st. So
I
we
mean,
got to
and
wait to see if like I said, we'll remember April 30th, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing. Now, if you're Mel Tucker, you're hoping it's more like Mark D'Antonio when he got out there and called Mike Hart little brother.
yeah,
And
well,
think about how everything changed. But that day, if I would have told you everything that happened after that, you wouldn't have believed me.
Well, and I hate to say it too, but if you don't have depth, if you don't have a guy that can play over Keon Coleman, if he leaves, get hurt or whatever, same with Peyton Thorne and Brantley, then you got way bigger problems than just these young men leaving. If you don't have backups that are suffice that can come in and play, well, what the hell are we doing?
Right.
You got to take a new look anyway. So be confident in what you have. If you were confident in Mel Tucker 2 years ago, you should be confident in him today.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And if you're a Spartan fan, probably a name you want to pay attention to is a transfer, Tyler Harold. He was a fast receiver at Louisville. I think he had like 29, 30 catches. I want to say 7 touchdowns. And then he transferred to Alabama. Louisville was pissed because they felt like Alabama tampered to get him.
Mm-hmm.
He got injured. And, when you get injured at Alabama, you get
You're
passed
out.
up, you're done. So
Wally pip you real quick.
So that's a name. He's been on campus. They've had him for a visit. So that could be a name at wide receiver. But heck, man, when I saw that and then we'll finish this up, but it happens everybody because let me pull up the guy's name because he ends up the D lineman that ended up going to USC from Georgia. And his name was Bear.
Didn't he already decommit or something like that?
Yeah. His name was Bear Alexander. He was the next guy. It was Jordan Davis, Jalen Hunt, and then he was going to be that next guy, Bear Alexander, on the D line that we would be talking about. He hits the portal. While he's doing that, his father is at the USC game, their spring game. Just so happened, coincidence? I don't know, but guess where he's going? He's going to USC.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you don't know, it's happening everywhere. This guy was the next guy. He was going to be Georgia's version of
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, all those.
Jordan
He was the
Davis.
next. He was the next in line. It happens everywhere. It's a business. Some guys just try to make as much money as they possibly can. So that's it. That's all I got.
The only question I have for you, and it's going to be in relation to what we're talking about, do you expect any of them to come back?
It's possible. Brantley may be the only one that if I had to rank them, I would say Brantley 1, Thorne 2, Keon 3.
Yeah, Keon's gone.
I think Keon. I mean, when you've been having to run interference for all of these years, that means that this kid is constantly just trying to find his way out.
Yep.
And God bless him. But Brantley, maybe. But for him, geez, I got NFL talent. I've been playing on a pass defense that ranks in the 100th, not the 10th, not the 50th, the 100th percentile.
Not good.
Normally not good. So, chances of any of them coming back, I would probably put at slim.
Right.
I wouldn't expect it if I'm Spartan fans, but now they could kind of go out, test the markets. Connor Haywood came back. It's not like it wouldn't be the first one, but it happens. Once again, a year ago, did you think that we would be saying Hunter Dickinson is on his way to Kentucky?
No. Never.
You would have thought, oh, he's going to the NBA.
And that's just my point. That just, it happens.
Right.
It happens.
So this was the first time the state really got hit hard.
Dude, if it was like 20 players, I would be a little worried. But it was
right. If it was like with Colorado, where all of a sudden everybody left, then it's like, okay, that may be something going on. But you got 3 players leave. And honestly, from everything that I gathered, it was a money thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like it or not, this is the new nature of college football. If you don't like where it's going, it's not going backwards. Either you adapt or you die. And I think the coaching staff, they have to realize we may have to start going after players too that are actively on other teams, because people, if not, you're going to get treated like the minor leagues, and the big boys are going to come and cherry pick your best players every year.
Yep, I agree.
So, all right. Any questions?
That was it.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the 5-Star Zone. We'll be back to kind of break down the Big Ten. Had a pretty nice day in the NFL draft.
Kickers getting drafted in the 3rd round.
You kind of saw who were the best teams. Kickers getting drafted. Hey, you know what? You laugh. That was one of the best picks that they could have gotten. People thought it made fun of me. I'm like, I actually like this kid. Moody is money. Every time you cross the 40-yard line, that means you're getting 3 points out.
As long as he's not kicking over 50 yards, you're good.
It's all good. All right. For Evan, I'm Rico. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep subscribing. You've been watching the 5-Star Zone.